everybody, in the last video I covered the basics behind the mechanisms behind the act of singing, and in this video I will give you some tips on how to train and to gain control of these muscles I talked about in the last video. If you have never done singing, it is most likely that you habitually breathe from this part of your body. You'll be doing something like this. And it's very hard for you to breathe deeply because you're not used to it, you've never done it before. In this case, you will need the floor, and you will also need either a friend or a medium-sized object like this, not something too heavy you could really hurt yourself. I will show you now. When we lay down on the floor, most of us breathe naturally from our diaphragm, but I've also come across some people who cannot do it even when they're laying down on the floor. In that case, we can use a book. You can put an object on your stomach and use your breath. Think about it this way. Send your breath to where the weight of the object is and push up against the weight of the object. So something like this. You can also get a friend to help you. Have them press their hands into your belly and it'll be the same thing. Most of us, when we're lying down like this, very naturally we breathe with our stomach. Like little baby. If you're still breathing from here, you're still doing this. You can put the book on your stomach and think about lifting the book up and down with your breath and with the muscles in your stomach like this. Practice this every day for about 10 minutes or more, however much time you have. Sooner or later, you will learn to breathe from your stomach, which is the most important step you can take as a singer. It is very important that your jaw muscle be very relaxed during singing, especially when you hit the high notes, or else you will strain your voice very, very badly. So one tip I can give to you about relaxing your jaw muscle is that every day you can do this. And make a little sound, so something like this. I know I sound very silly, but that will help you to relax your jaw muscle in the long run. It is important to keep your nasal passage open when you are singing, especially during the high notes. The high notes are supposed to resonate at the very top of your head, which is why this passage needs to be very open. For beginners, I recommend smiling when you're singing. I know it looks silly, but it will keep the nasal passages open, like this. When singing opera, especially opera, in pop singing, it might be slightly different. All these techniques I talk about can be modified to fit the specific kind of singing that you want to do. Especially in opera, it is very important to open up your soft palate when you make sound, especially when you go up to the very, very high notes. That's when your soft palate has to be completely lifted up. And the soft palate, if you look into the mirror, there's a little tongue. I call it a little tongue. It's actually your larynx at the back of your throat. And if you look into the mirror every day, you can make that little muscle dance. And if you do not know how to do that yet, you can start by just yawning. When you yawn, your soft palate will naturally lift up, like this. You can do that a couple times every day. It will help you to gain control of your soft palate. When singing, it is important to have a very flexible tongue because the muscle of the tongue can sometimes touch your vocal cords and it will break up the sound. So it is important to have the tongue very, very flexible and to be able to control the muscle individually. So a tip I give to people is that you can do some tongue twisters and do it 10 times in a row. For example, lips, teeth, tip of the tongue, lips, teeth, tip of the tongue. Do it very fast and do it many times a day. It will help you to have more flexibility in your tongue. When you're beginning, it is most likely you cannot yet become aware of your breath yet. And that will take time. It takes a long time to slowly become aware of the muscles, and that goes into the mechanism of breathing deeply. And there's a simple tip I would like to show you. is that when you breathe in, think of your body as a balloon, and you're trying to fill your mid-region with air. And that builds a lot of pressure. And when you breathe out, put your hand into a fist and put it in front of your mouth, and that creates pressure, and push against that pressure. I know I sound like I'm farting, and it's very funny, but that will help you to become the resistance of your hand in front of your breath will help you to become more aware of the muscles in your mid-region. For more advanced students, once you have gained sufficient awareness of your own breath and where that breath is supposed to go, you can always go into a lip roll like this. Beginner singers would not be able to do this, but you can do a simpler version of this, like this. And that will help you gain more awareness of your own breath. A lot of people have a lot of tension in their neck and in their shoulders when they're singing. So there's one very simple exercise to help you release the tension when you're singing. So you can do this. The movement of your arms back and forth will help you open up your chest, and it will take away the tension from your neck and your shoulder and put the focus in your diaphragm. That's where you're supposed to support your voice from. When I talk about the directionality of the breath, once you have learned to control the muscles that will pull in the breath and help to contract and push out the breath, where is that breath supposed to go? You can think of it in this way. This is going to be a little bit hard to explain, but I'll do my best. Think of your breath as a little laser gun. You're supposed to concentrate your breath like a little laser gun, and it's supposed to hit your larynx. We talked about larynx. It's the little tongue. When you look into the mirror, it's the little tongue at the back of your throat. And your breath is supposed to hit your larynx, and it's supposed to go up, and it's supposed to end up resonating at the center of your forehead. When your breath is concentrated and it's hitting your larynx, the sound you make will be much, much more powerful. So instead of diffused. So if your breath does not end up at the center of your forehead and it's not concentrated, your voice will sound a little bit cloudy. It will sound something like this. Which is okay, but let me do that again in the right way. It will sound much better. You hear the difference? The second one has much more directionality than the first one.